Hello, welcome back to Strictly Sports. I'm Spencer.
My name is Boyce.
We've been your weekly destination for some true sports content. This might be the last show of the year, so shout out to everybody who watched and to our 13 Twitter followers. We really appreciate it. But
Yeah.
we're not going to dwell on that very long. It's just we're going to, NBA playoffs are still going strong. Still really interesting to see like how the Rockets are holding their own against the Warriors, even though it looked like that wouldn't happen. And the Celtics and Cavs can't seem to win an away game. So that's interesting. Like the series they've both been blowouts except for the most recent Houston game. But the Celtics Cavs, like one team just blows out the other in every game. It's kind of boring to watch, honestly.
Yeah, Celtics have the lead right now, and so series is 3-2. So Game 6 is coming up tomorrow at 8:30. But it's been Celtics have been doing better than what I thought they would. I thought Celtics looked good, and then obviously beginning of playoffs, we see Kyrie leave, and we the entire season we're missing Gordon Hayward, and then we got to see Brad Stevens work some magic with them against the 76ers, and that was amazing. And then here comes the Cavs, and the Cavs had struggled against the Pacers with a Game 7, but they ended up winning that ultimately, and then they move up to Toronto. They go up north for the number 1 seed and just blow them out with a 4-0 sweep. So, so then they're coming in this game looking hot, or the series coming in looking hot, and this series. It's
so did the Celtics though. Celtics came off a 5-game win in
Celtics
Philly,
did come off a 5-game win in Philly, but they're still missing their stars, and everybody knows how the king playoff LeBron has been his entire career, and how he just was with a big fat sweep of the number 1 seed. So. It was. I wasn't expecting. I'm not saying the Cavs wouldn't put up a fight, but I was not expecting the Boston to have a lead 3-2 at this point.
Yeah,
so
definitely
a big shocker to me. But
the Celtics have like they really haven't missed their stars that much at home. They've won every home game by at least 10 points, I think. So
yeah,
they've looked like the same good Celtics team all year. But then when they go to away games, they don't have that. Like Al Horford's like a veteran leader, but he's not like somebody you can just give the ball to and say, get me a bucket. He's a good scorer, don't get me wrong, but, he's a big man, and they put Tristan Thompson on him. It's tough for him to get baskets, and then he's not like the great scorer like we see in Kyrie, who the Celtics are really missing him and when they play in Cleveland, because Kyrie can get you 25 points, 30 points, doesn't matter where.
Yeah.
As long as he's healthy, he
Absolutely.
can get you 30. He's just that good. And they need that when they have a cold stretch. The key to winning a away game, especially in the playoffs, is you can't let the other team get on big runs. You have to break it up. You got to keep the game close because you can't let the crowd get into it, and you just got to limit turnovers. Celtics have been limiting the turnovers, but their offense will just freeze out in the game. They won't be able to score. Nobody's hitting open jump shots. Nobody's getting great shots, and their shot selection in Cleveland, just for some reason, is a lot worse. Like, they're not making extra passes. Marcus Smart thinks he's a 3-point shooter. He's not. I don't know. Like, when you watch those games, it's just the Celtics look completely different, and then the Cavs look just completely uninterested when they play in Boston. They look like they don't even care, and they just play like trash. Like, we haven't seen either team play their best against each other, so it's hard to say who's going to win the series in 7 games because. It's looking like it's going to go to 7 games, and it's going to be in Boston if it does.
and
so
you gotta wonder does that mean Celtics taking this one in Game 7?
Exactly. We know how good LeBron is with his back against the wall, and we know how good the Celtics are at home. And with their backs against the wall, they're going to come out. They're going to play hard too. So it'll just be like we've seen LeBron have a 42-point triple double, and they still lost by 15 points. So
yeah, and and more than that too. They lost by 13 last night. And one of the biggest storylines coming out of it was how fatigued and exhausted LeBron just seems to be at this point. Just when he's out there on the court, he just looks tired and he just needs something. And it's kind of reference back to what he's been doing all season for him, which he's the only thing that the Cavs have had.
He's played 82 games.
Yeah, he's been using his body. He's not like the young player that he used to be anymore. And everybody talks about he's getting better. He's like a fine wine. He keeps getting better with age, but. At some point it has to wear down a little bit.
He's getting better, but I don't think he can be as good for as long.
Yeah. He could still be just as talented, he could still do all the plays he could, but it's how often can he do those,
Exactly.
the duration that they can keep, riding his back
You don't, like,
will
carry
they make
it.
it out of the series? Will they make it to the finals? Will they make it out of the will they win the finals? So
You don't, like, carry a team for so long, and, like, some games, like the Cavs, some games are just a bunch of dead weight, and LeBron's literally just dragging them. Other games, George Hill will play okay. Thompson, actually, at home, he's been playing pretty well. Kevin Love has been pretty suspect, but, like,
he's been there. Yeah,
he's been there.
He got 14 points last night.
And, I mean, it's LeBron, he can't get anybody else on his team to score over 20. And then you look at the Celtics box score, and everybody on their team scoring, like, 10 to 12 points, with the exception of a couple guys that'll go for, like, 25. So it's really, like, you're showing, it's like I've said these two teams are, like, completely opposite. Celtics are very team-oriented. Cavs are very LeBron-oriented. And Celtics, one guy doesn't show up, they could still win without one of their players having a good game. LeBron or Cavs, it doesn't matter who shows up as long as LeBron does, and then they're still going to be in it. So
yeah. I mean, like you were saying about them having over 10 points. I mean, 5 of them hit over 10 points, and then Scary Terry, like you're saying, how he's been phenomenal. Terry Rozier, and he only had 8 last night, but still, like you're talking about how they can pick up the slack. You're certainly right about that. I mean, they have they had 5 other guys drop over 10 points last night for him. And Jason Tatum was leading that with 24. And
Jason Tatum's a beast.
Jason
Tatum is so good.
And so it's. I mean, if this series continues, it's difficult to say because, like you were talking about earlier, I mean, we have seen LeBron with his back against the wall, and he usually prevails.
As a Celtics fan, I've seen him go for I think he went for 50 points in Game 6 in Boston in 2012. And I mean, we've seen him, and when the Cavs came back from down 3-1 to the Warriors, the best team of all time.
Yeah, seriously.
LeBron went out of his mind. But he also had Kyrie.
Yeah,
when he was in Miami, he also had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. So this is one of the first times we've ever had to see him do it alone. I mean, when he was in Cleveland in the past, there was he had to beat the Pistons, and we saw he scored 29 straight points in the fourth quarter for the Cavs, and that was insane. But can he do that against the Celtics is the real question. The Pistons were also a great defensive team, but the Cavs are going to need some heroics from him like that to actually win the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's got it in him at this point. I mean, he's played 82 games this season. He's had to carry that team. I mean, minus when they play Phoenix, and some of the trash teams in the league, he's had to pretty much carry him in those games too.
Yeah, and they other than that too, I mean, we saw him go to Game 7 with the Pacers, and that was a little bit of a different series because they were not winning only home games, and it wasn't blowouts all the time.
It was a real series.
Yeah, the point differential when Cavs would win was much smaller of a margin than when the Pacers were total of the
Pacers would either blow them out or Cavs. It would be a close game.
Or the Cavs would barely inch away. But I mean, we saw there was a video that came out in the first quarter of the Cavs and Pacers Game 7 this year, where LeBron's yelling at Tyronn Lue I'm playing the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's basically what he's been playing the whole year for him. And so that's just him, just like you said, just locked in, when it's you survive or die right there. So
people hate on the NBA players resting. People hate it when they take a game off for rest. But this is why, because if you for a good team, when you know that you're finals bound or you have a really good chance to go to the finals, you don't want to be tired when it gets to this point in the year. And so if you're missing 3 or 4 games during the course of the regular season, if you miss a game against Phoenix, Chicago, Charlotte, and I don't know what's another trash team, it doesn't matter, Sacramento, then your team can still win without you. It doesn't really matter. And even the Cavs, they knew as long as they were in the playoffs, they were a threat. They didn't care about what seed they were. Maybe they should have, because now they could have home court advantage if they had cared. But so this is why players rest. You don't want to be tired right now. This is the worst time to actually be exhausted. LeBron looked exhausted last night.
It's the most important time of the year. I mean, this is what they play for.
This is where you make your legacy. I mean, nobody really cares about your legacy if you were just a good regular season player.
I mean, in your current time, when you're doing the big things that we're seeing, everybody's in love with you. But when it comes down to it, I mean, LeBron is focused on his legacy a lot. I mean, he's giving quotes about when will he stop playing, and he said when I believe I've caught the ghost of number 23, referencing Michael Jordan. So I mean,
It's kind of close.
It is kind of close, and it's been a debate for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it still will be a debate for a long, long time. But this series, it'd be easy to say, just look at the home game blowouts and say Boston wins it in Game 7. But it's difficult too because we're talking about LeBron and just what he does when it's time for him to go home and he prevails. So I still think the Celtics can take it. I mean, if he really is still fatigued, and they
might
just
have to go with them. Just
I think I'll go with the
tired
Celtics in
LeBron
Game 7 too. And maybe it won't be a blowout like all the other games have. Maybe LeBron really does put up an effort, but maybe Kevin Love doesn't show up. Kyle Korver gets less minutes for some reason.
But he's gonna have to. LeBron for Game 7 to be close. LeBron's gonna have to have at least 40 points going into the fourth quarter. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, LeBron's gonna have to have.
It sounds like a joke, but it's not.
So will he have the legs to score another? Probably at least 15 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, if you look at how the game's going to go, Boston is going to. They played really well at home. They played great defense. They forced a lot of turnovers. The Cavs have LeBron. He puts up 40 points to make it a close game. They might still lose because the rest of the team's trash. So he's going to have to score at least another 15 points in the fourth quarter. And I don't know if he can do that. I mean, Celtics, they rotate their players pretty well. I mean, they have a good rotation, and they stick to it. Brad Stevens is pretty focused on making sure he doesn't overplay his guys. He's kind of the anti-Tom Thibodeau. So in that respect, Celtics will be, I mean, they're not going to have fresh legs, but they're going to be a lot more rested or a lot more energetic than LeBron. They have a lot younger team, too. Year 15.
Yeah.
I mean, carrying his team for 82 games, carrying his team the whole game. Is he really going to be able to keep it going in that fourth quarter, or is he just going to at some point say, you know what, I can't do it, I'm too tired, and just let the Celtics have it? So,
and you know what, and if that does happen, I mean, I think it's just that much more like evidence that LeBron's leaving Cleveland.
Yeah.
And, Cleveland's screwed after that.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the Houston Golden State series. It looked like it's pretty much the same until Game 4, where Houston won a close game.
Yeah.
And it's looking like injuries might actually really hurt the Warriors because Iguodala missed last game, they lost. Klay Thompson hurt I think it was his knee or his ankle in the first half of that game, and in the second half he really wasn't the same. He hit like a couple jumpers, but his jump shot it wasn't as confident. Nobody was as confident in his shooting because he wasn't hitting, and they're both questionable for the next game, for the game tonight. So I mean, they're two very important players. They're not as important as Steph or Durant, but Thompson's an important floor spacer.
There, yeah.
He's a very important floor spacer, and Iguodala is their best on-ball defender. So, who do you put on when you need to lock up James Harden? They say, all right, Andre, go out there. Or Klay is also a very good on-ball defender. They say, Klay, do your best. So, who's going to guard James Harden? It's not going to be Steph Curry.
No, absolutely not.
Steph Curry's not going to do anything. And then they try to put their best defender left on Harden. That leaves CP3 without a competent defender. I mean, he can take Steph Curry too. So
yeah, I mean, we've seen plenty of highlights from Chris Paul and
Chris Paul just shove him down and do a
throwing
crossover.
Steph Curry across the floor.
Oh, man.
So
and then James Harden just dunks on Draymond Green.
Dunked all over him. That was disgusting. I mean,
that was all in the.
A lot of people really happy to see it though. A lot of people really don't like Draymond Green.
I've always wanted to see him get dunked on. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got
what's coming to him
all over him. So.
But that series, it's pretty interesting because the Houston offense entirely revolves around James Harden and Chris Paul. If they have a bad game, they lose.
Yep.
James Harden had a good game and they won, but the Rockets' offense can look really good when they can just get one guy out of place and then they start swinging the ball around. They'll have great ball movement, but they don't really run a lot of set plays. You don't see any off-ball screens going on. You maybe see on-ball screens for Harden or Chris Paul, but other than that, you don't really see a whole lot of movement. You have three guys standing around on the wing, one guy with the ball, and then Clint Capella in the post trying to either set a screen or just do something to help out, try to get in position for a rebound. So it should be pretty interesting to see if they can win tonight. If they take a 3-2 lead going back to Golden State, they probably won't win Game 6, but Game 7 in Houston will definitely be a crazy game. Be a tough game for the Warriors to win, be a tough game for the Rockets to win. So it'll really come down to if the Warriors are healthy enough to play their best players or if they have to play some of their young rookies and rely on them.
Yeah, and it's just weird to think, like, here we are debating these two series right now, and we could see a Celtics, Rockets final.
If we see a Celtics Rockets final, Celtics are NBA champions this year. There's no doubt in my mind.
Really?
Absolutely none.
Wow. Okay.
Celtics have great on-ball defense.
I'm gonna trust that.
Celtics have great defense.
Yeah, they look really good.
The Celtics beat the Rockets this year. They did have Kyrie at least, but
yeah.
I mean, they're gonna start Marcus Smart, put him on James Harden. James Harden's the best. I mean, Marcus Smart and James Harden are both good at getting fouls called for them. Actually, it's kind of interesting. It's just gonna be two guys flopping a bunch, but Marcus Smart's a great defender. They can put Jaylen Brown on him. He's a good defender. They have Marcus Morris available, and there's nobody on the Rockets except Chris Paul or James Harden who can actually really who's going to get their own shot. Maybe Gerald Green can get to the basket. A few of those guys can get to the basket if they drive, but you're not worried about them scoring more than 20 unless they're getting open threes. So
yeah,
I think the Celtics would actually win that series in probably 6 games, because they just match up really well with them. The Rockets in playoff James is pretty inconsistent. I mean, if the Rockets are turning the ball over, Celtics are going to win because they run the break well. They take advantage of bad plays. But, I mean, Celtics, defense wins championships, and Celtics have the best defense of what the teams left.
They certainly do, yeah.
If they can get to the finals, and I don't see them beating the Warriors. I think Warriors would beat them in 5 games. But if they play the Rockets, I think they beat the Rockets in 6.
Yeah,
so.
and you know what, and right now, Rockets definitely have a chance like you're talking about with the injuries right now, so... Mm-hmm. It's just weird to think, the past 3 years we've seen LeBron versus, the Dubs and Steph Curry, but and that's what I expected this year again. I mean, obviously Toronto looked good, but I didn't have faith in them.
Nobody has faith in Toronto.
Yeah, nobody has faith in Toronto.
Thought the Rockets. Everybody thought the Celtics were a year away, just because they're getting all their new pieces.
Because they're getting all their new pieces and whatnot. I mean, they're kind of surprising, the entire league and world right now, and still, I mean, if they really make it to the finals, that'd be absurd because we saw all the offseason moves they made. And everybody's thinking like, wow, they're gonna be a force. And
they're gonna be a force once they get some chemistry.
Yeah, but they lost Gordon Hayward, they lose Kyrie, and they still have chemistry. And Brad Stevens is still doing a phenomenal job.
Great coach.
And they could very easily break the Cavaliers minus their 2 studs, which is just something nobody saw coming. Mm-hmm. And then Warriors. I mean, we could just luck out, or they could unluck out, I guess, of getting the wrong injuries at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. And then
Rockets got to win the games while Clay and Iguodala are not playing or while they're not 100%, because it's going to be a lot harder to win when they are 100%. So they got to win tonight, definitely. Yeah. Take the 3-2 lead.
These opportunities are presenting themselves to them.
They got to try to close it out in Game 6 too. I mean, that's what I would do.
It would not be easy. Still not an easy task. It's still the Warriors. They still got Curry and Durant. Putting up almost 30 each, but it's it'd be a rough. I mean, it'd be interesting.
Yeah,
it's just weird to think.
Series, they're both really close right now, so there's obviously a few different combinations we could see it going to, but I think Rockets, either Eastern Conference team they play they might beat, or they might lose to actually, because there's nobody on the Rockets that can guard. Nobody can guard KD, nobody can guard LeBron, so we could see him if he goes just full like cyborg mode, doesn't get tired, he's an animal, doesn't feel pain, that kind of thing. We could see him just go for 50 every night or something like that. But the Rockets just don't look like a championship team to me. They don't play the hard-nosed defense as much. We saw Harden actually step up, steal the ball a couple times against the Warriors, but they don't do that consistently. They don't do that every game. They don't give the same effort, and I don't like their offensive style of play. So to me, they don't look like they could win the championship against either Eastern Conference team, but the Cavs are also, we've said this a million times, a bunch of trash on LeBron James and Kevin Love, who's the garbage man, so he's kind of like trash, but not really. I don't know how you want to take that, but I was just trying to make an analogy. Kevin Love's not that bad, but he's good enough to help. He's good enough to help consistently. Yeah. That's what I would say. So,
but yeah, it's just weird. Like at the beginning of 2 series, I think it was pretty.
Everybody thought
easy to say Cavs and Warriors. Here we go again.
Everybody said Cavs in 5, Warriors in 5. It's over.
Yeah,
Cavs in 4. People are saying.
Here we are, and then here we are with this home game pattern going on, and Celtics have the better ranking, so they're going to finish Game 7 at home at their in
Same
Boston.
with the Rockets.
And then Rockets have the better seeding too, so they're going to finish at home. But not only that, just this opportunity came that Clay gets hurt and Iguodala gets hurt and misses a game and. These opportunities are approaching. They're here. And, it's just weird. Like, how are these two teams going to take advantage of them? Are they going to or not? So, It could be a different finals, and if it is, then Celtics I think may bring home.
I'd say Warriors, if they make the finals, they win. Rockets and Cavs could go 6 or 7. Excuse me, could go 6 or 7 games either way. I think Rockets and Celtics win. So Celtics got to meet the Rockets there, but Warriors win if they get in there. Cavs, you don't really know. Celtics will beat the Rockets. So it's final take for Strictly Sports. Appreciate everybody following us, and
for the time we were on your screens.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great week, and hope you miss us next Wednesday.
See ya.